Hey, welcome into the Husker247 Daily Show. I am Mike Schaefer, joined by Michael Bruntz here on Wednesday. And Bruntz, what if I were to tell you, heading into the game on Saturday, Nebraska, famously known for its pass protection so far this season in 2025, is taking on the number one team in sacks in the Big Ten, in the Maryland Terps. First, one, how surprised would you be to learn that the Terps are just feasting on quarterbacks? That's not something we really think about much when it comes to Big Ten football. But two, what does that mean in this matchup where it's already kind of an interesting game? Like I don't know what to make of Saturday yet. Thankfully, I don't have to make anything of it. It's just Wednesday.
Yeah, no, you got plenty of time to make something of it. I would not be surprised. I've seen the charts. I've seen the charts of where Maryland ranks.
You're an
It's,
educated man.
I mean, yeah. Here's where I would be surprised. Where I was surprised. Like I knew that Maryland was a fairly young team. They're young on offense. They have a freshman quarterback. But the bulk of the guys who are doing the havoc making on defense, it's young dudes that are just getting after the quarterback. And I also would know, based on some just having written a little bit of it, that Maryland had 6 sacks against Wisconsin in that game. That I think kind of got people to perk up a little bit, even though I don't think Wisconsin is very good. But at the same time, going into Camp Randall and really just kind of dominating a 4-quarter game. I mean, they really gave Wisconsin a lot of issues with the pass rush. So maybe not a great time for Nebraska to be trying to find itself as a pass blocking team. While we're talking charts, I would also know that Nebraska, I believe, we talked about this, 14th in the Big Ten right now in sacks allowed, with 15th with 15 sacks allowed through 5 games, the bulk of which has happened in the last 2 games.
It would
So
it feels like if you just condensed it to only Big Ten play, there's no way someone's given up more sacks in Nebraska, right? In only Big Ten play so far. I mean, they've given
no,
up 12 sacks, I think, in their
let
2
me
games.
here's a trivia for you, since we're talking charts. Who was last in the Big Ten in sacks allowed right now, if you had to guess?
Let's go Rutgers.
It is not.
Okay.
You got other. I'll give you one more if you want it. I was surprised by it.
Let's go. It's got to
They're
be someone that isn't terrible.
they're in the Central Time Zone and they're not terrible. How about that? They've also played
Uh,
6 games, but I digress.
I think Illinois has played 6 games.
They have. They are last in the Big Ten in sacks allowed with 19.
Wow. How many times has Luke Altmaier been wrestled to the ground in Big Ten play?
I'm
Do you
trying to
have
think.
it? Does it break it out individually?
Yeah. Nebraska's DFL in conference play with 12.
Nailed it. Look at that.
Illinois, second to last, tied for second to last with your Rutgers Scarlet Knights with 10 each. So that's the company Nebraska's keeping. Do you like where does this fall on like your level of concern in this game of like the pass protection?
Reasonably high. It's probably I think the biggest advantage that Maryland has coming into this game. I think both teams feel like their defense could do things to neutralize the other team's offense a little bit. With Maryland, it's havoc. They've gotten good pressure in the games that they've played. I mean, I was just looking at it, and Sidney Stewart, who leads them with 4.5 sacks, he's had at least a half sack, if not a full sack, in every game so far this year. What's impressive about it, not just you mentioned he's young. I mean, he's a freshman. I believe a true freshman. He's only listed at 6'2", 255. So that means he's doing it more than likely. Um, you know, not just like a straight beat you off the edge with speed or, anything like just sheer power. I mean, there's probably some stunts in there and everything else. Like it's just kind of fascinating. Like I'm imagining to myself how the fan base here would react if there was a freshman that had 4.5 sacks through 5 contests in a season, because we're pretty fired up about what happened in just one game against Michigan State. I can't imagine having a couple young guys that are just bringing pressure off the edge And I believe Sidney Stewart combined with Zaire Mathis. I mean, that's 8 sacks right there. And be pretty good. And they're both freshmen. I mean, so there's a lot of reason for Maryland to feel enthusiasm with how some of these young guys have stepped in and just kind of picked up and played pretty well right away for their program.
Dana Holgorsen talked yesterday, and there was a question about kind of like basically like how do you divvy up blame for the sack issues right now? He went into a pretty convincing discussion about how it's pretty widespread. Like, the offensive line will miss there was a missed assignment on I think Pritchett missed an assignment.
Oh, yeah.
Running back missed a block.
Oh, yeah.
Big time. Dylan just held the ball too long,
Mm-hmm.
at least once. I guess in your mind, how do you kind of solve this issue where, I mean, it's execution. I mean, that's the simple answer. But how do you go into this week and just kind of improve, I guess, when it's so wide? It's in the walls, Mike. It's everywhere.
Yeah. Well, the black mold that is Nebraska's pass protection, I guess, if you would. So to me, a lot of it seems to be, and I don't know how much Dana got into this. It seems to be they're not particularly good at diagnosing where the pressure is coming from pre-snap, or they don't have the communication outlined as to who's picking up who. I mean, the Pritchett one, I don't know if he just didn't know that he had that guy. Generally, you're the tackle, you have the guy that's coming from the outside, and people kick over if there's more than one. And so, or you're getting help from the backside with a running back. And so I don't know. It just at times doesn't feel like everyone's on the same protection plan. It feels like you have one guy who thinks something, 4 guys who are doing something else occasionally. And this is probably the biggest weakness in Emmett Johnson's game. I don't know that he's a particularly great pass blocker. This isn't the first time that he's just completely missed on an assignment in that regard. So I think a lot of it, to me, there's a fair amount of this that's Dylan. Dylan has to decide to get rid of the ball sooner. He takes sacks that he just doesn't need to take. I think that's a fair criticism of him. But sometimes he doesn't really have much of an option because pre-snap, they're not diagnosing it. And that's also a little bit on Dylan. That's on Justin Evans. I don't know who the guy is that's supposed to get them in all of their spots. But it feels like, at least in the Michigan State game, several of those sacks could have been diagnosed pre-snap as to where the pressure is coming from. You either have to change the play or that you have to get the ball out faster. Now, that doesn't mean that Dylan will, but at least you have more knowledge of that than some of these where he had just absolutely no chance on the play.
It's interesting. Like I do wonder if, I mean, you've moved Gatula to the other side. You've had Pritchett in and out. I do wonder if there's a little bit of that kind of like
They
that's
need to gel a little bit.
Yeah, like that's the residual effect of moving guys around, is just the communication piece of it. I do wonder, is Nebraska and Dana Holgorsen able to scheme things to make life a little bit easier? I mean, it's not like they're chucking deep routes right now anyways,
No.
but you got to find ways, I think, to get the ball out a little bit faster. I know he tried a little bit more with the screen game. You had the big one to Hunter. They tried a couple other places. You and I are, that's our shtick in the press box, is like, did Nebraska actually touch somebody on a screenplay? 50-50. And
50-50 seems a little heavy-handed to one side, and I'm not going to say which.
Yeah. I mean, the Hunter one, they hit somebody. They hit a couple
Yeah,
guys.
someone did get hit on that.
But I do wonder if that's a piece of it, if Dana can get a little bit more creative to kind of patch over the issues as well going into this week.
Yeah, I think where it really hurts you and where it feels like Nebraska's kind of dropped off as soon as he hasn't been able to be as involved in the passing game is with Luke Lindenmeyer. I mean, you don't have as much tight end activity, and that becomes a little bit of a safety belt. I do wonder if you're going to see some more just chipping late release routes from him. We saw that as a nice outlet early in the Michigan game. They had a great play. I know people were raving about the play that scored the touchdown. I actually thought my favorite play design from Saturday was the rollout where it looked like it was set up to go to Harburg, but then it was a late release for Luke Lindenmeyer. That's a perfect play. Run that on 3rd and 4, and you're going to get a first down a lot of the time. And so, I'd like to see a little bit more stuff like that. I want to see we are the most tight end friendly podcast, I swear. We spend more time talking about a position that Nebraska has underutilized basically my entire life. But it just feels like there's more that they can get out of Luke Lindenmeyer if they kind of adopt some of these late release things, because I don't know that they can not have him in there for at least a portion of it, because they like to go empty. And if you don't go empty, then you're taking people off the field that can help you win in other areas. So it's a real kind of catch-22, I think, for Dana Holgorsen when you're trying to devise an offense to mitigate a pass rush while also not sacrificing your ability to attack teams differently each play out.
Yeah, 17 catches for Luke Lindenmeyer, by the way. So he's trending well, but he always looks
I
really
think
good
it's
on those
largely
late releases. He does that really well, really well.
I do think, like, of those 17 catches, I mean, a fair amount of those came early, right? Like, that was Cincinnati and Akron, and then I think there was a little bit of a drop off against Houston Christian, maybe. But I don't think he had that much activity against Michigan. Maybe 3 in
It's
that game.
seven
He
for
had 7
60.
against Michigan. I don't
Yeah.
remember that. Maybe it was Michigan State. I think he only had 1, right?
Yeah, it was one for 6. But yeah,
I'm not crazy.
7 for 60 against Michigan State or Michigan. Excuse me.
Well, either way, we continue to advocate the use of the tight end here at Husker247 Daily and at Husker247.com. You can see everything that we're writing, what we're thinking, how we're going to get you prepared for the Maryland game ahead. And of course, be sure to check out the Husker247 podcast and Husker247 Hypecast that'll drop later this week. So for Michael Bruntz, I'm Mike Schaefer. We'll catch you next time.